I have a problem. A few months ago, I bought this supercar that had been abandoned at a body shop for 15 years with the goal of bringing it back to life and making it one of the coolest supercars on the internet for a fraction of what it would cost to buy anything else. It was going pretty well. I got the car back into one piece, got it driving again, and even started modifying it. But then I did something very stupid. I spent $10,000 buying a body kit straight from China that I wasn't even actually sure existed. And 6 months later, it showed up at my door. And now we're trying to install it to see if we'll succeed in our mission to make it a true supercar, or if we just wasted $10,000. And to be honest, I'm still not sure. So far, we've been able to fit the entire front end, not without some issues, some of which still need solving. And that was supposed to be the easy part. Now we have to do something that terrifies me. And that's cutting apart a car that even a year ago, I never thought I'd be able to afford. What could go wrong? We have a lot of things we need to do to this today. The entire rear end ideally needs to go on, and we need to figure out what to do with the exhaust. We have some ideas now after giving it some thought that we'll go through shortly. But by far the most pressing thing is we're gonna need to cut the fenders today. We've kind of figured out that there is some space which should allow us to cut pretty smoothly, and we've bought a few tools that should aid us in this matter. That'll be a lot better. You guys in the comments have suggested stuff. You guys know we don't know what we're doing. We're learning as we go. That's how I learn, that's how Will learns. We learn from our mistakes and by trying. If you have a suggestion, we're always open to criticism and any help that we can get, because we certainly don't know what we're doing. And one of the things that we don't know what we're doing is with the exhaust. We've already taken the tips off. The exhaust, as some of you may know, is supposed to route on this kit here. There's a side
Let me show the people
exit.
why it's not possible. So this, this looks like you cut a hole through it, right? You think, I could cut a hole through that. What you can't cut a hole through is all of that. There's no room for a hole there. So we're gonna have to round out the rear bumper. And I think we know how we're gonna do that. So we got a lot of stuff to take care of. So let's get into it.
Our first task today is to fit the rear bumper. As we found out in the last video, we need to remove even more of the exhaust to get it to mount properly. So unfortunately, we have to undo what we just did a few months ago and remove this beautiful exhaust. Thankfully, it's only held on by a few bolts and hangers, and after a little bit of brute force and ignorance, both sides are removed. And now we can finally test fit the rear bumper properly. All right, we've moved the exhaust. Time to test fit. This is our very much back and forth process of seeing if it fits right.
You're getting used to it by now.
Okay, so those two match up. That's nice.
Well, we're nowhere near my hole, but.
Oh yeah, they can match up. My thing's there.
My thing's there now.
Oh, my thing's there too.
Okay.
That looks like it fit.
Yeah, it does look like it fits.
That looks
I'm
like
just gonna need to re-drill. I'm gonna need to re-drill my hole.
With the bumper on, we can now test fit the new quarter panel and then mask it off and get ready to cut apart the factory one, which might actually be the scariest thing we've had to do on a car yet. Because I honestly don't really want to do it, Will's gonna do it. So if he messes up, I can blame it on him. If we make a mistake while cutting into the quarter panel, it could completely ruin this car. To replace a quarter panel, you basically have to cut up half of the car and weld a new one in, which is super difficult and super expensive. So Will has to take his time and make sure we do this right. And it actually looks like we might be. I'm not gonna lie, I'm rather impressed with Will's handiwork. This needs a little bit of sanding, but I'm hoping that that's all we need to take off. We could probably take off a little bit more before we start to run into any problems, but that's terrifying. It does need to be cleaned up slightly. So I guess we'll do that real quick, and then we'll do the other side. Yeah, no, it's really fun. This is great. With the ragged edge sanded down, we can now move over to the other side and mask it off for cutting. Now for you guys, this doesn't look super difficult, but from Will's perspective, it's a bit intimidating. Each fender has gone through multiple cutting wheels and is flinging hot metal everywhere. Through a bit of patience though, which isn't our strong suit, we can finally get the cut done and see how it came out.
Now, I'm not much of a professional at anything, but we did it.
That was a decent job.
Yeah, all things considered, for somebody with like 4 brain cells banging around in there, I'd say I did a good job.
Together we have at least 10.
That's enough to build an Aston Martin. If it's enough to buy one, it's enough to build one, right?
Hopefully Will is right about that, because now we have to fit up the rear bumper again and map out where we have to drill for the new quarter panel extensions. The quarter panels don't have any holes pre-drilled, so we have to decide where we want them to go and then mark up the holes to match on the car and the panel. If we don't get the holes perfect, the fenders will mount up incorrectly, and we really have only one shot at doing this right, so we have to make it count. To get rid of an extra variable that could cause us issues, we're removing the vinyl wrap from the quarter panels. And I know some of you guys like the blue, but we have a new color to do when the kit is on, so stay tuned for that. Now though, we're finally ready to drill the holes, so let's do it. Before we jump under the hood, I want to take a moment to talk about something important. You know, working on cars isn't just about fixing things cosmetically. It's also about taking care of what's under the hood. Just like we maintain our vehicles, it's crucial to maintain ourselves mentally and emotionally. I know firsthand how hard life can be sometimes. These days, social media portrays people's lives as being perfect, but that's usually far from the truth. Life is complex, and I have certainly had my fair share of tough moments, but I've found it incredibly useful to have professional help. With therapy, you can get the right tools in your toolbox to make the tough times easier. That's why I want to introduce you to today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy service that's available whenever you need it, wherever you are. BetterHelp connects you with licensed professionals who understand the unique challenges we face, whether it's dealing with the demands of the job or finding balance in our personal lives. So while we're all about fixing cars here, let's not forget to give ourselves the same level of care and attention. If you're ready to take the first step towards a healthier, happier you, check out BetterHelp. Your mental well-being is just as important as the smooth running engine in your car. Connect with a therapist within 48 hours from the comfort of your own home by visiting betterhelp.com/Captain Crankshaft or choosing Captain Crankshaft during sign-up and get a special discount on your first month. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the Aston. Officially unwrapped, and now it's drill time.
That's not, oh.
That goes somewhere.
Yeah, it definitely goes somewhere. Nothing like watching Jackson drill holes in our Aston Martin. I think I like this car more than him. So it hurts me a little bit, but I guess I also did cut parts of it yesterday.
Whoa.
Oh my days, yeah, no, what if there's stuff? He was like, what if there's an airbag under there? I don't know, there could be. Now that you say it like that.
Oh, that's fiberglass.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, underneath there is some.
Oh my god!
What the heck, man?
Golly! That's scary.
Well, we got some holes.
Our plan is to attach the rear fenders the same way we did the front, by using rib nuts. To make that work, the holes have to be the exact right size. So we're gonna have to do a bit more drilling. If you don't know what rib nuts are, I just learned, they basically make it so you can add a threaded bolt hole to any surface. So with the holes drilled to the proper size, we can now use this special tool to insert the rib nuts. With the rib nuts installed, we can finally fit up the quarter panel. But immediately, we're noticing a big problem. Because we're dumb and we don't know what we're doing, we ran into a slight issue here, and by a slight issue, well, it could be just a slight issue. The bolts, as you can see, they obviously don't really sit correctly. They come in at a weird angle. And that's a problem, because that will look horrible, and it won't hold even pressure on the fiberglass, which could crack it. But what we did just learn is there's something called a floating rib nut. What is it? It's called like a floating rib nut, and it allows for a bit of movement, so whatever we're screwing in can screw in straight, even if the hole itself isn't straight, if you get what I'm saying. So that's gonna be something we need to get, because otherwise this is gonna look horrible, and it's gonna not work. So we're gonna find those real quick, hopefully from a store nearby, and then we can fix the mistake that we've made. This is just the the only way forward. So we'll give it a shot. We have retrieved the hand riveter to fix the mistake that we made. The hand riveter should hopefully not apply too much pressure, cracking the fiberglass. We'll hopefully be able to modulate pressure, ideally. And the first step in fixing our mistake is now we have to drill out our rib nuts that we so carefully put in. So yeah, you know, you make mistakes here and there.
That's gone forever though.
Don't
Hot,
do that. So hot. Wow. That was hot. With Will's custom drill bit cooling method, we can now drill the rest of the riv nuts out. And now we can try to use our new hand riveter to attach the panel directly to the car with regular rivets this time.
All right.
We'll figure out if we're at the right angle, right?
Oh, it didn't work. That doesn't work. Now.
You need the riv nuts that actually have movement to them. Dilemma. We thought the rivet would work. The holes are too big, and now we've just riveted to the fiberglass itself. That's chill, but nothing a cutting wheel can't handle. The problem is, now we don't know how to put this on this with the holes that we have. This is slightly terrifying, and I'm trying not to, I'm pretending I'm not scared. But I'm a little scared. While I cut out the rivet, Will's going to the hardware store to see if he can find another solution. And luckily for us, I think he did. So let's check it out. Will got lucky, and he found a different kind of rivet made of polycarbonate that can be used to attach the fenders along with a bit of double-sided tape. The problem with the metal rivets is that they weren't long enough, but the poly ones are longer and spread wider, giving them better grip. So I think this is a good final solution. Using our air riveter, everything seems to be going well, and with the first side mounted, we can move on to the other side. We're following the same process, but with our knowledge from the driver's side, we can get it done much faster now. The drilling's going smoothly, and now we can use the same type of rivets as the other side, and after hours and hours of trial and error, the hardest part of the body kit installation is almost done, which is huge, because we're running out of time. We have just one day left before we need to get the car wrapped. We have both fenders actually on, as you can see, but there is some fitment problems. However, that is to be expected. Fiberglass, allegedly, you can heat up and then tape into place, and it should, once the tape is off and it's cooled, stay in that form. So this problem here that you can see, that can be resolved by a little tape, heating it up, and then we can do the final bolting of the rear bumper, and it should all line up. We're not experts here. This is not gonna be perfect, but we're trying to get it as close to perfect as we can with the tools that we have. So if there was a professional doing this, it would probably be a whole lot better, but so far I think it's going as we could have hoped for, maybe with a few small issues, but we're figuring it out. So we're gonna heat this up, tape it down like Will's doing now, and hopefully that fixes it. With the fenders taped in place as best we can, we now need to get started on the final touches before the car goes off to wrap. Because we're running out of time, we're starting by riv nutting the fenders to the side skirts. This will make them way more rigid because right now they're super floppy. With that done, we can unwrap the doors and then bolt up the rear bumper in its final resting place. One last thing we need to take care of as soon as possible is making sure it doesn't rust. Because we cut the fenders, we exposed some of the metal on the body to the elements. If we didn't do anything about that, we could end up with some serious corrosion issues. So to remedy that, I'm masking off the area around the fenders, and I'm gonna add some spray paint and caulk to protect these surfaces from the elements. After a few layers of paint and caulking, it's finally complete, enough to where we can wrap it properly. At least, that's what I think. We have somehow been able to get the entire body kit on before the car needs to go into wrap. We have a very special surprise for the wrap, which you will see very soon, and we're gonna show that. But before we do that, we wanna take this car outside and just get a look at it, see what the kit looks like before we get all the stuff done. And also, if you're wondering about all the little stuff, this kit is not perfect. We still have a lot of little things to tweak, which we gotta tweak after the wrap, because there's some stuff that we can't do until the wrap is finished. And also, the wrap is a bit time sensitive and the other stuff is not. But this kit, it's not perfect yet. I know that, so hold off on the comments for right now. And then we're gonna try to fix all of the little stuff after the fact, such as the rest of the bolts that hold on the rear bumper. There's a lot more holes we can drill out to make that very secure. I have done riv nuts all across this. They're not all bolted in yet because they might need to take the side skirts off to wrap them. And of course, two things, the hood, we're gonna try to fix that with a little heat and tape and also move the bump stop so it doesn't do. doesn't do that stuff. Yeah, that's
really good.
That's good stuff. And the most important thing is we're gonna build, after it gets wrapped, we're going to build an entire under tray that runs all the way to the front splitter and all the way back to the side of the fender so that none of that stuff moves around, and it's definitely solid because we really, really want the kit to be good and we want it to be usable actually as a car and drive on the highway at speed without things falling off. And yes, me and Will haven't done this stuff before, and it's a learning curve, and we're probably not doing everything perfectly. That's the thing. We got to learn by doing, but we can certainly fix the mistakes that we make, and we're going to need to because I'm sure there's plenty of them. So we're going to try to get this thing as perfect as possible. If you have any suggestions or you see anything that feels a little weird and we must be missing it, please.
There are a lot of things for sure, but wrap's gonna be the biggest transformation of all. We're gonna finally get to see what it looks like all in one color because it's really hard to envision what's happening with the car.
With the car good to go, we loaded it up on a tow truck, and even though it wasn't moving under its own power, we got to see what the kit looks like in the real world for the first time, which is pretty cool. It definitely needs wrap though, so let's get that taken care of.
Right, we are here at the Q Wrap Studio. We made it with the Aston, and it's finally gonna actually start looking like a race car because right now it looks kind of terrible, to be honest with you. So we wrapped the car the first time, and if you saw it, it wasn't very good. So we wanted to actually have professionals do it this time. So we brought it to Q Car Care, and if you guys don't know who they are, we're gonna talk more about that soon, but they did a really good job wrapping our 911, and now they're gonna make this look like an actual race car rather than a bunch of blobby panels on some garbage, because that's what it looks like now. So in a second, we're gonna show you guys what colors we're doing, get started on the wrap, so that way we can finish it up hopefully in the next couple of days, get the new wheels on, get the lowering springs on, and make it pretty much perfect, figure out the exhaust. We still have a lot of stuff left to do, but let's get it wrapped. Let's show you guys the color because I think you guys are gonna really like the color. Before we do anything, we have to prep the car. Unlike a regular car, wrapping and prepping the Aston with the body kit is gonna be different and way more difficult, which is why we took it to Q. We have to get as much of the contamination off of the painted surfaces as possible without absolutely soaking the fiberglass. So Devin, our friend from Q, is taking detail spray and a clay bar to clean the body. To prep the fiberglass, we're using rubbing alcohol to hopefully promote adhesion as best as possible, and with every panel covered, we're finally ready to wrap. We have the car fully prepped and pretty much ready for wrap, and now we get to do the most fun part of all of this and show you guys the base color. And I'm saying base color because there's gonna be a lot more to this wrap than just the color, but I think the base color is the coolest part. So we're unwrapping it right now, and then we get to see what this car is gonna start to look like, which is a little bit exciting. And I know you guys are gonna comment, the fitment isn't perfect. We know, we're well aware, we are not body shop people, but the color is gonna bring it all together hopefully, and we'll see what the car actually is starting to look like as a real car. But let's check out the color first. 3, 2, 1. All right, here is the color, and I'm sure a lot of you probably guessed this. You're not gonna see it too well through this, but it's green. It's an Aston Martin. We had to do green. Me and Jackson both love green cars, and this is gonna look super sick, so let's not wait anymore and let's actually start getting it on the car and seeing what everything looks like. But this color is gonna be so sick. Normally a V8 Vantage isn't super difficult to wrap, but this car with this kit is quite the opposite. The wide fenders, unique curves, vents, and questionably installed panels all make this car very challenging to deal with, which is exactly why we brought it to Q. If you don't know about Q Car Care already, we chose Q for a very good reason. Q is more than just a detail shop. It's a team of car enthusiasts and perfectionists. Before Captain Crankshaft, I worked with Q for nearly a decade. They're always working on the most insane cars and truly might be the only people up for this job. If you want to see more about Q, they're starting a YouTube channel of their own, and they're doing a video with the Aston, so go subscribe to them, the link's below. For now though, we have to keep plugging away on the Aston because this is a tricky one. Now for the Aston, we wanted to do something super special. So we're not just doing a simple color. This car is going to be designed to look like the actual Aston Martin factory race cars with their green and yellow paint scheme. We're going to be doing some really cool stickers for our favorite people we've worked with on this car, and also for our new company, which is called Luft. We're going to tell you guys a lot more about that later, but for now, you're going to have to wait. It's going to be a main part of this livery, so bear with us. And if you want to be the first to know about it, head over to luftsense.com for more information. All the stickers are gonna be in this beautiful green color. And while Devin keeps wrapping away on the car, I'm gonna start cutting them out and installing them. we have a lot of cool ideas on how we can make this car look like a special, one-of-one race car, because for us, that's kind of what it is. We wanted to make sure that this stands out and that we're doing this body kit the justice that it deserves. And to be honest, it's coming out absolutely amazing so far. The car is really starting to come together, but we are running out of time. The wrap's almost done, which is good, and hopefully it'll be done today, but we still have to lower the car, we still have to figure out the exhaust, we still have to put on new wheels, we still have to do a lot of things for aerodynamic efficiency on this thing, so we have a lot left to do. We want to finish the wrap up today. Devin's been working on getting the color down. I've been doing some stickers, and everyone's got to put their best foot forward today if we want to finish it, so let's get to it. With our deadline in mind, we're gonna just keep pushing to get this car done as soon as possible. We still have a lot of things left to do, like I said. So with the wrap almost done, we can start test fitting our wheels, figuring out how big the spacers we're gonna need are gonna be, because we're gonna have to use spacers. These wheels are absolutely amazing, but we ordered them before we ordered the body kit because, well, it was kind of a last minute decision. They're from our friends at Forge Club. They're probably the most beautiful wheels I've ever seen, and luckily they helped us out. They were gonna give us very aggressive stock body fitment, so the spacers we are gonna need shouldn't be too big. And honestly, these wheels are stunning, so I'm just excited to get them on the car. Now we can get the car back to our shop and start working on the final touches, because honestly, it's turning out to being one of the most insane Aston Martins on the internet, like we promised, and I'm super happy with it. Thanks so much again to Q Car Care. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible, so make sure you guys go check out their YouTube channel. And if you're in the Boston area and you need anything like PPF, ceramic coatings, vinyl wrap, and more done to your car, definitely reach out to them because they are literally the best. So, let's get over to Jackson at the shop and let's finish up the Aston, because I think you guys are as excited as us to see it done.
The Aston looks absolutely crazy. Q did an amazing job. It made the body kit, which I was worried might not look good, look way better than I thought it would. And it's now back at the shop, but we are not done yet. We still have a lot of work to do to make this all function correctly. And the first thing I need to address is there is a big squeak coming from one of the wheels. I don't know what it is, and we still need to put spacers on. And we also have a lot of other random stuff that needs to get done, so.
Squeak is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I drove it back yesterday and it was like
The whole entire time.
He's not lying.
Yeah, it's
it was
horrible.
that bad.
Yeah.
So it looks insane. Look at this thing. It looks like a real race car, but we still have a lot to do, such as, that's not super on there, but I have a solution. But first things first, let's figure out what the squeak is. I'm worried the fiberglass is gonna crack, but I think we can jack it from the side skirts because there's a section that is very stiff. It's not on the fiberglass fully, by the way. It's just a thin part of the fiberglass that's then on the frame. I think this will be fine, but I'm still a little nervous.
Oh yeah, undo that. Flexing the side skirt.
Actually, I'm just gonna take the side skirts off because I don't want to break the brand new wrapped side skirts. That would be very bad, and I would be very sad, and I would cry, and Will would cry, and it would be bad.
I would definitely cry.
Oh my God.
My brain.
That hurt my ears, genuinely.
So that we need to fix. That's kind of important. It's not great.
That was horrific. That was horrible.
The noise is coming from a stuck handbrake. So to temporarily fix the problem, I'm just gonna remove it. With that done on both sides, it should be good to roll. I thought I fixed it. I did. After a bit more investigation, it turns out that the noise is coming from a dust shield rubbing on the brake rotor. So with a bit of custom clearancing, now we can put the wheels back on and start to tackle the next problem. The next problem is an interesting one. This is the splitter here, and it's pretty solid, but as you can see, you can clearly move it, which is not ideal. We want to be able to drive on the highway at speed and not have the fiberglass crack, and we'd like for that to be pretty sturdy. But I found a solution to that problem. This is sign making material that is 2 pieces of aluminum sandwiching something else. And it's light and it's incredibly strong. Like you can flex it, but you really can't break it or bend it in half. And if we bolt it up a bunch of times, I think it will be strong enough. So now I need to make a stencil of the entire front end and make that. Easier said than done, but it'll be cool. And it will definitely work. And that will be a nice piece that makes this kit not only look good, but actually function well. Before we do any intricate details, we're starting by measuring and cutting out the vague shape we need. I'm the furthest thing from an aerodynamics expert, but we're gonna try to make this as functional as possible so we can actually bolt it to the chassis of the car. With it cut out, we can now trace the shape of the front lip onto it and then cut that out as well. With the lip cut out, we can start to mount it to the car. We're bolting it directly to the subframe and then using double-sided tape to get it to line up to the lip. With that done, we can add the final piece to make this as race car and functional as possible: the splitter rods. We're attaching them directly to the metal in the front bumper and the splitter itself, and hopefully that's enough to make everything sturdy and not fly off at speed. This somehow is functioning incredibly well. It's actually working, which when I do something and Will does something is always shocking. It's got these supports, and honestly you can now lay into it and it moves the entire car. But what I need to still fix is this. You see this? Some of that is reduced by bolting it to the side skirt, and the side skirts aren't on right now, but to really make sure that doesn't go anywhere, I made this. Might not look like much, but it's gonna bolt underneath the sides, or underneath the fender, and then all the way over to this here bolt hole, and should do exactly what that front splitter support does and keep it from moving and keep it on the car where it should be. So let me do that real quick. With those pieces bolted up, the car is basically done, which to me is honestly insane. Since we started this channel, our goal has been to push ourselves further and further and make our cars cooler and cooler. And this project has definitely done just that. Transforming this once forgotten V8 Vantage into something that genuinely takes my breath away every time I look at it has truly been a dream come true. And although it wasn't easy, and we ran into a ton of issues, the fact that we're able to take a beat up, non-running Aston Martin and a body kit from Alibaba and make something spectacular from it has been one of the coolest things I've ever done. So without further ado, here it is. The Captain Crankshaft Abandoned Alibaba Aston Martin V8 Vantage GT3. So yeah, somehow our abandoned Aston Martin from New York has turned into this race car for the street. I feel like my boyhood dream is complete. I have a real race car, or a real fake race car. I actually didn't even think it would look this good. Even just when we were putting the body panels on, I was scared that nothing was gonna work and it was probably gonna fail. But somehow it came out even better than I would have ever expected, mostly thanks to Q. But me and Will did some good work here. There's still a couple little things to sort out, but look at this thing. And we have a lot more projects coming. Now we're gonna have to find a way to top this. So subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And hopefully we can keep building cool stuff just like that. Subscribe, please. Thank you.